Hello and welcome this July 10th, 2022. It is a Sunday, and that means it's time for another episode of Misfits of the Galaxy, my vlog series where I ramble and amble about content for a campaign I hope to run for my fellow members of the Isle Misfit Rolls podcast. If you haven't heard of us before, I'll put links down below. We have been a podcast group for several years now. We're in the second season of our, I believe it's called Vertes campaign, or Veritas. Still having trouble figuring that one out after this long, which is kind of funny. So I'll put links down below where you can listen to our podcast. Additionally, we've transferred over to a Twitch live stream format, typically every Tuesday between 8 or 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to about 11 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're interested in joining us, we'd love to have you. To say the very least, we also have it in we also have our Twitch live stream in other formats, so you can still listen to it as a podcast, or you can listen to it on YouTube. That being said, since my last vlog, a lot of things have changed. I'm not going to get into them, but needless to say, my itinerary for getting this all together might have been pushed forward significantly. When I first started doing this in early January, more of a New Year's resolution than anything else. I expected to at least have a year before before planning on running this, the Misfits of the Galaxy, but unforeseen circumstances might be pushing that timetable up significantly. I still intend on waiting until after the Spelljammer box set comes out and I have a chance to read it before, but who knows? If you're listening to these episodes, you'll probably it's very likely we'll have started in maybe October or like late September, early October. Who knows? Anyways, with that in mind, I need to get to the content I need to work on is I need to make sure that I have a list of races and subclasses and classes that are available for my players, obviously. And so while I'm pretty flexible when it comes to most of the material that's available through Wizards of the Coast, there are a few exceptions. Currently, I am hemming and hawing over whether I'm going to let the Artificer remain in the setting. The main reason, I think I've mentioned it before, the big reason is I'm permitting a lot of content from Valda's Spire of Secrets, which, if you haven't heard of it before, it's a Mage hand press production, formerly known as the Middle Finger of Vecna. I'll put links to their content down below. It was a Kickstarter project that I backed, and the material is just fantastic. I've taken a lot of their content from Dark Matter and their sort of Spelljammer-esque, but a little bit more hard sci-fi setting, and made it my own for this Misfits of the Galaxy. And I intend on using a lot of that content as well. So if you like that, they make some wonderful material. I'd strongly recommend anyone who is interested in third-party D&D products for 5th edition, go check them out. They have a lot of fun stuff, and I'm certain you'll find something that you like. With that said, as I said, I'm looking at what I'm going to allow beyond what's available for Wizards of the Coast. And while I've already decided to permit all the classes that are available in Valdis's Spire Secrets, including their subclasses, the pre-established classes of core D&D that have new subclasses, I hadn't really gone through them all thoroughly until recently. I've really started going through them and like the ones that are available in Valda's Spire secrets, and going, okay, this one's okay, this one's no good. So this episode's gonna be a little different because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through my list and my rationale behind it, and we'll start with the barbarian with their primal paths. So the first primal path in Valda's Spire secrets is the path of the Colossus. I am letting it be. I'm allowing it in the campaign. It's like when I read this, considering when the PDF came out for Valda's Spire Secrets, I looked at it, and then I looked at the new giant Unearthed Arcana details that Wizards of the Coast came out with, and the first thing that came to mind is what the hell, Wizards, WotC, Path of the Giant is like. Did you read Valdis's? Did somebody at Wizards of the Coast read Valdis's Spire Secrets? I'm not pointing any accusatory fingers at this point because the concept of a barbarian that grows really big when raging isn't unheard of, but still, I've noticed this repeatedly with Wizards of the Coast, where they'll bring out some Unearthed Arcana content, and when you look at it, you go, well, wait a minute, I read this in somebody's third-party product like 6 months earlier. It's a bit of it's a bit of pet peeve of mine when it comes to Wizards of the Coast. I don't know whether or not they're because ideas don't get created normally in a bubble or a vacuum, I should say. I can't help but wonder if somebody who's developing Wizards of the material for Wizards of the Coast skimmed over it, read it, heard about it, or something like that, and said, "Hey, this is a cool idea," right? Still, I'd love to understand their process, sort of deal, because this isn't like I said, this isn't the first time I've come across this with their Unearthed Arcanas. So yes, I'm going to let Path of Colossus stay, since Path of the Giant is an Unearthed Arcana material, and we don't even know if it's going to become official or not. Well, the chances say it probably will. The next one is Path of the Fin. I don't like Path of the Fin. I like it, but I don't like it. Personally, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take Path of the Depths from Dark Tides of Bilgewater, Legend of Runeterra, which, despite the fact that they pulled it from D&D Beyond, the reality of the matter is, once it's on the internet, you can never get rid of it. So I'll probably have to take that the mechanics behind it and put it in the the sheets that I'm going to provide, like the player's guide that I'm going to provide to my fellow Misfits or Misfits of the Galaxy Isle of Misfit Roles players. I think that the Path of the Depths makes more sense, especially with the Nautiloids, than the Path of the Fin. So I'm just going to keep the Path of the Fin out of it for now. Somebody might be able to sway me elsewise, but for now, no. The next two are Path of Heavy Metal and Path of the Muscle Wizard. Boy, I could say a lot about these. Both are silly gags and memes, to say the very least, that we've all heard of at some point or another when it comes to D&D, once you've been in the hobby for a while. The heavy metal is like the barbarian concept. It's like playing Iron Maiden or something similar, or Metallica. And the Muscle Wizard is what happens when a barbarian thinks they're a wizard. Since they're both they're silly, and they'd be great for like a one shot or a campaign that is aiming to be silly. That's wonderful, but not for Mistress of the Galaxy. So I'm gonna have to strike those off my list as well. Path of the Rage Mage. I like this. Magic through enraged fury of a barbarian. Being able to lash out with magic while raging. I like the idea. It definitely fits well with like where sorcery comes from, like sorcerer magic and the like. So sure, I'll let that stay. Path of Tranquility is the final one, and I'm gonna have to nix it. Unfortunately, I love the concept. Conceptually, it's really cool to have a barbarian who kind of like gives up on the path of gives up on their anger and rage, and achieves tranquility. I recall that in the Ultimates comic book universe, there was a what is it, Ultimate Hulk versus Wolverine. That's what happened with the Hulk sort of deal, and he was very like dressed like a Zen Buddhist monk or whatever. But anyways, uh, the problem that I have with it is as a subclass, it doesn't work very well. Uh, Conceptually, it's cool, but unless they specifically had rules to switch out your rage, which they don't for the subclass, it just it doesn't work the way it was intended. You can still rage with on the path of tranquility and what have you. So because of those reasons, I'm nixing it. Next, we'll go into the bards. Bards, we have the first one is College of Cantors, which is a bard with in touch with the divine. Hell yes, I love that idea. I'm gonna let it stick. In fact, the College of Graffiti, which is the next one, is the only one I nixed, and that's because having a graffiti artist doesn't really mesh well with the entire idea of Misfits of the Galaxy traveling across space and what have you. Like, what are you gonna do? Graffiti the entirety of your ship? You're gonna tick off the other players, and when you get into a port, you're just gonna take a bunch of spray cans and spray things everywhere. Come on, let's be realistic. That's not a very good like conceptually. It doesn't fit well with the what's intended with Misfits of the Galaxy. College of the Jesters. College of Jesters is really good. I love the idea of the tumbling fool. Um, So sure, why not? In previous iterations of D&D 3.5, they actually had, I think it was in the Races of Stone book, or was it Complete Scoundrel? They had the Divine Prankster, which was what would happen when like a gnome truly embraced the jester nature of Garl Glittergold, the patron god of the gnomes. And much of the College of Jesters follows in that vein. So yeah, let's do it, sort of deal. College of the Mad God. It's like, can anyone say Wabbajack? um, you have access to the powers of the the plane of pandemonium, of madness, and while that's not necessarily a playable subclass for players most of the time, it certainly is a cool concept. So I'm gonna leave it in the campaign. College of Masks. I love the idea of a bard who has a collection of masks and they switch them out and they gain different powers based on which mask and persona they're taking on. So that can stay. And finally, College of Romance. Now, I kind of raised my eyebrow at this one when I first started reading. I read the name, but the reality of the matter is, it is simply a enchantment specialist when it comes to being a bard, and I don't see any problem with that. So, despite the subclass's name, as a bard at college, I'm okay with it. So I'll let it stay. All right. Clerics. Well, let's see. Clerics. We have the destruction domain. We have the madness domain, and we have the pestilence domain. Which altogether, I say yes. Mwahaha. Not so much. The three of them aren't so much set for players or things that I necessarily want players to play. But I got a ton of ideas for villains now. based off of those 3 domains. So they're going to stay in the campaign. The rum domain is getting nixed. This is something that would have been cool in a campaign with pirates or Greek gods like Dionysus and Pan and the like, but they don't. It doesn't really fit in Misfits of the Galaxy at this point. So I'm gonna have to say no for now. Somebody might be one of the players might be able to change my mind. Who knows? The travel domain. I love this. It is so useful in a sandbox campaign like Misfits of the Galaxy, even though like half of its abilities are only useful during planetfall. This is a fantastic domain. I gotta come up with some gods that like this were that throughout the verse that this fits for, because I would love to see a cleric with this domain. Finally, the wealth domain. It's like, who doesn't like money? Who doesn't like gold? It's like, it's not just the accumulation of wealth. It's any sort of god of merchants or that would have access to this domain, and like, it's all about like being able to praise objects, analyze them, identify. It's pretty neat. I like it. It's got a few tricks that are very similar to that in the knowledge domain, but it's its own entity. So yeah, I'm gonna let it be there still. So I'm at like over 16 minutes now. I think I'm gonna go through maybe 2 more, the druid and the fighter, and then I'll wrap it up at that point. And next week we'll go back to this and address some more subclasses, because who knows, I might change one of the whoever's listening to this might be able to change my mind on a few of these. I'm looking at my players specifically. So when it comes to the druids and their druid circles, the first one is the circle of the city. I love the circle of the city. It doesn't just fit in like a city setting. You could be in a spaceport, and this could work really well. Pretty much anywhere that's like advanced enough that like when you step outside of your spaceship, it's not open wilderness. This is a really cool circle where it's like it allows people to uh, it allows druids to work in a more urban setting very effectively. For that reason, I'm going to keep it. Excuse me. Circle of the Deep, a aquatic druid with all sorts of tricks at their disposal for shape shifting in aquatic creatures, breathing underwater, and all sorts of other nifty stuff like that. I like it, especially for like a nautiloid druid or an aquatic near human druid. So yes, I'll let that one definitely in there. Circle of the Fist, I'm nixing for now. I wasn't very sure about this one. I think I might have to sit down and read it once or twice more. It's all about a subclass that allows a druid to take on a lot of the abilities of a monk. And I'm permitting multi-classing in my campaign. So for me, I'm kind of looking at it and going, well, what's the point? Sort of deal. But like I said, I'm going to read it once or twice more, and I might reverse my decision later, but for now, it's not there. Circle of Stones. Ooh, what can I say about this? The idea of building Stonehenge style circles across across the verse is really appealing to me, especially if I'm thinking of adding a little feature to it that allows those Stonehenge circles to act like moon gates or stargates, allowing you to travel from one world to another through teleportation magic, which normally only works on a planetary scale. I'm getting a lot of ideas from this particular circle, and even if I don't have a player playing it, I'm definitely gonna. I like the vibe, and so I'll leave it in. Circle of Vermin. You like to play rats, bats, but not elephants or cats. Large swarms of insects or other vermin. The idea of playing a swarm rather than a single creature is really cool and what have you. Not to mention the fact like you're dealing with smaller, oftentimes considerably more frail critters. I like the idea. I'm gonna keep it in there. And finally, Circle of the Worm. E- Ever since Fizban's, like, I think it's called Treasury of Dragons came out, I was kind of wondering, well, why wasn't anything like this put in there? But in at least I didn't see anything like that in there. So in order to perpetuate this idea of druids who have a link with dragons, I'm going to allow for the Circle of the Worm, especially if they come from the world of Draconis. The entire idea of shape shifting into dragons using your wild shape is really cool. So the final group that I'm going to touch upon today are fighters. The martial archetypes, I'm pretty much letting most of them slide. The one exception is Bone Knight. I wasn't sure about that one. While I could see a natural shapeshifting race, perhaps being able to take on that martial archetype. I don't think there's enough natural shapeshifters there to really warrant it being present. It's also, but who knows? Somebody might be able to sway my decision one way or the other. But for now, it's a no-go. The ones I'm permitting are the Brawler. Uh, in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, they introduced new or maybe it was Xanthar's Guide to Everything. They introduced new new combat styles, and one of them was like fisticuffs, effectively, right? So you don't necessarily, if you want to be an unarmed fighter, you don't necessarily need to be or unarmed warrior. You don't necessarily need to be a monk. This kind of like further develops it. And so I like the idea of a fighter being able to be a bare knuckle boxer. And so I'm going to let it in. It definitely fits the campaign. Celestial Lancer. Did someone ask for a dragoon from Final Fantasy? Because that's what a Celestial Lancer is. You can jump really, really high and come down really, really hard on top of targets. And I like the idea of that, especially in low gravity settings. Like not zero gravity, but you're on a world where the gravity is lower and you jump really, really high, and then maybe through some arcane trickery of some or shenanery of some sort or other, you increase the gravity around yourself, and you come plummeting down on your opponent's spear first. I think that's really hilarious. I think it's cool. I like it as an idea, so I'll stick with it. Corsairs is the next martial archetype, and that's very pirate themed, and I can see a lot of space pirates in this campaign. So yeah, it's definitely staying. The Dungeoneer is basically your veteran. You've seen it all, and now you're preparing contingencies for everything. If I were gonna give an equivalent in any other genre of material, like any other material I can think of, I think, even though it's controversial, the anime Goblin Slayer, where he's pretty much prepared the contingency for like he's got all these different tricks and ideas and contingencies for pretty much everything. That's what I see when I read the Dungeoneer, and well, it might not necessarily fit in everything that's going on in Misfits of the Galaxy. I can certainly see where its place would be. And finally, the Mage Hand Magus. Unlike the Eldritch Knight or the Arcane Archer, who use magic in very specific fashions. The Mage Hand Magus focuses specifically on the Mage Hand spell and how to use it to manipulate effectively low-level telekinesis. And they use it to wield weapons and other cool effects, which kind of reminded me an awful lot of Jedi and Star Wars with their force telekinesis. And so after reading it, I went, yeah, I like it. I'm going to put it in here. So today I touched upon 5 classes and the subclasses found in Valdas's Spire of Secrets. I am sorry from anyone who is listening to this and is kind of disappointed in the material that's coming out today. Unfortunately, as I said, stuff happened over the course of the week since the last vlog I did, which has changed my itinerary and my timetable for this considerably. And so I'm trying to get this ready for. I'm trying to get a player's guide ready for my fellow members of the Isle of Misfit Rolls. And in order to do that, I need to get my thoughts and ideas all together for that, because perhaps once I'm done this, I'll give the grand reveal as how I've officially decided to start the campaign. Like what sort of like introduction the players are going to stumble into, because I was talking with some of my I was talking with Erica, Adam, and Mike, who are all members of the Isle of Misfit Rolls on Tuesday, and we have we managed to cobble together one hell of a great idea as to how to start this campaign. And so, like I said, if I manage to get through everybody else, which would be the monk, the paladin, the ranger, the rogue, the sorcerer, warlock, and wizard on next week, I'll definitely give a big reveal about that. I'll also have to do another video like this for races. I just haven't gone. Like I said, this kind of came out of left field for me, and so and I'm certain it came out of left field for everybody else in the group. So I'll see what I can do. But I hope everyone, for those who decided to listen in to the very end, that they enjoyed this. I'd love to hear a lot of comments about this, because especially if people want to argue against my decisions and my thought process on this. Anyways, I'm gonna play around with my goodbye call sign a little. Not this week though, but in the future. So if it seems a little different at the end of every episode, I'm sorry. But till next time, may all your 20s roll a critical. Take care.